to you, but KFC have run out of chicken. What has the world come to?
It's brilliant. You couldn't make it up, could you? Yes, it turns out that KFC, their primary product, chicken, they've had problems with distribution, apparently. DHL have just taken over the distribution.
It's like if we ran out of UKIP leaders to interview, isn't it?
There's never going to be a shortage. Always more to come. But they'll be having operational issues. DHL took it over and said they were going to set a new standard of service, which of course they have, except not quite the one they wanted. They put it down to teething problems. Well, I suppose lack of teething problems on this. It's going to affect, of the 900 branches, about half of them have run out of chicken. But they've set up a special website for apparently the people they call fans to go and find their nearest open branch.
Finger licking good. And how did the markets do today?
Markets down 47 points on the FTSE 100. That's 7,247. On currencies, both at 140 on the dollar and 113 against the euro. Sterling was effectively flat, I'm afraid.
Thank you very much. That's Justin Urquhart-Stewart at 7 Investment Management.
LBC Business Update.
With Sage Business Cloud. Be Sage. Build on.
6:36. We've switched on the cameras. If you'd like to watch the phone-in with Gerard Batten, you can do so on the LBC website at lbc.co.uk or on Facebook Live or on Twitter, apparently, as well. But I'd like you to give us a call, 0345 6060 973. What are the main challenges that Gerard Batten faces over the next 90 days while he's interim leader? I think they have to have a new leadership contest within 90 days. I'm looking at Gerard plaintively. I think I'm right in saying that. 0345 6060 973. He's been MEP for London for many years. You'll have heard him on LBC quite a bit. And he's got some quite controversial views on one or two issues, not least Islam. So we may well come on to that. Gerard, welcome to LBC. Thanks for doing this only 3 days into your interim reign. How likely is it that you're going to put your name forward to stand for the permanent position?
I honestly don't know, Ian, because what I'm going to do is measure myself on what I achieve. And I'm first of all, there's a few things that need to be sorted out very quickly that need to be done. But I was thinking about that today, and I'm going to measure myself on how many new people we get in. Now, I'm not putting a figure on it for a target, but unless quite a few thousand people come on in the space of that 3 months, then I will not go for the leadership.
Because you've had quite
thereafter.
a few people resign over the last couple of days who think Henry Bolton was treated badly.
If it's only a few, then we're okay, because obviously feelings run high. But we've had more people join, and our head office told me today that people were joining. We've actually had some donations come in. And I know people who left in the past who said they'll now come back. So that's what I'm going to be measuring over the next 3 months.
What's your membership now?
I'm not exactly sure. I think about 25,000.
And how many would you need to bring in for you to say you're going to stand?
I don't want to put an exact figure on it, and I may well do that, but at the moment I know that I want to bring in at least a few thousand over a space of 3 months, and I'm looking at doing, for example, a special offer and membership over 3 months. I'm working that out with the Treasurer at the moment.
Do you think Henry Bolton has been treated badly?
I think that the problem is that he is kind of guilty by association, which is very unfair. But politics is unfair. I think the reason that we weren't able to go on supporting him, and don't forget that his spokesman, the MEPs, the NEC, actually did support him for a very long time. And the straw that broke the camel's back was around about, I think it was the 18th of January or so, when these remarks came out from the alleged remarks from his girlfriend, about Meghan Markle and black people, etc. We cannot send our candidates out on the street in a local election when they're going to be confronted by this. And also, I think, if just to say, it was Henry's inability to actually close this story down. If he'd have said, I didn't know she was like that, I'm not going out for any more, that's the end of that relationship.
Frankly, he became a laughing stock, didn't he?
Yes.
That was part of the problem.
I'm afraid so.
Is UKIP solvent? Bear in mind, you've got a £200,000 legal bill.
We haven't got a £200,000 legal bill because I sat in the court last Thursday and listened to the judge. The ruling is that we do owe something, but the judge is actually going to work out what that is, and we don't know what that is, so we shouldn't preempt that with a figure, because he might be listening to your show. So let's hope that he is he seemed to me very fair, and I think that he'll come to a fair number. Every party in the history of politics has had problems with finance at one point or another. It goes with the territory of politics. But I think that once we start to get back on track, the money will start to come back in.
Let's go to the calls. Robin is in Herne Hill. Hello, Robin.
Hello, good evening, Ian. Good evening, Gerard.
Hi.
Hello.
What I would like to ask is, how are you going to get the youth vote, bearing in mind that Labour seems to have purloined that at the moment?
Well, that is difficult, of course, because they go to schools and colleges and universities where there's very much a left-wing, politically correct dogma is peddled to them. So they're a more difficult market.
Sorry, you're saying schools are peddling left-wing dogma?
Over the last few years, me and my colleagues have spoken at lots of schools and colleges, and even in that space of 13 and a half years, I've noticed how politically correct, how left-wing the audiences are in schools. Not so much in private schools, but in state schools.
So you basically think they're being brainwashed?
I do, to a certain extent, yeah.
Because all teachers are left-wing, or what?
I think quite a lot of them are, actually, yes. And they have we see this in every area of society now, though, that where only certain views are acceptable, and if you're not peddling the accepted view, then you're in trouble. But I think that one of the things, if I can go on a specific policy thing, for example, where we were ahead of the curve as we were on lots of things, I saw the government now is talking about not charging so much on student fees for where they're doing certain subjects. Well, that was our policy back in 2015, where students who are doing science projects, science degrees or medical degrees would not pay the full. Or
how much would that cost?
I can't give you an exact figure on that, Ian, sitting here now. But we know that we
manifesto, you must surely have an idea.
We know that people are, and we know that students are getting into massive amounts of debt through doing all kinds of degrees. What we would do is look to subsidise those degrees which we felt were more useful to the economy, or where we needed science graduates or medical graduates.
Robin, quick comeback from you.
Well, I mean, I was in UKIP for 18 years. I left 4 years ago, but because I didn't think that some of their policies, and I got some mess up when I was trying to run for Parliament. And in my last two general elections, I've said that trying to get the youth vote, and why not reintroduce polytechnics where there were sandwich courses and where certain university courses should be got rid of because they're expensive and they're no use to people. It's just 3 years wasted for a lot of young people.
Okay.
I agree. My youngest son a few years ago came home and told me that one of his friends was doing a degree in comedy. And I said, well, who's taking that? Ken Dodd. I mean, are we expecting people getting £30,000 worth of debt to do a degree in comedy? I don't know what he was paying for it.
Some very successful comedians.
I don't think any of them studied it at university.
On the tuition fees, though, Jeremy Corbyn's obviously stolen a bit of your thunder in saying he would abolish them completely. Would you look at doing that now?
I don't think that's feasible with the amount of people who are actually going to university now. And we feel that a lot of people are at university. Tony Blair came out with this arbitrary figure. And I don't feel that proportion of people need to go to university.
So what proportion do you think?
Well, I think that, I can't give you an exact percentage, Ian, but a lot of people who are highly academic should go to university. A lot of other people might be better off studying a technical subject or a trade. And I think that will be far more useful.
So that's exactly what Theresa May's been saying today.
Well, it's amazing how a lot of our policies are picked up by the other parties over the years.
But isn't that the interesting point, that in a sense, UKIP... There isn't a need for a UKIP anymore because the Tories have taken over so many of your policy platforms.
I think the primary point of UKIP now, and there are lots, I do believe that there are lots of other policies that we can espouse that will be popular. But don't forget, we got the referendum, we won the referendum, but the referendum hasn't been delivered. And we need to keep the pressure up on the government.
Well, it has been delivered, hasn't it?
Sorry, the Brexit hasn't been delivered. The exit from the EU.
We're leaving on the 29th of March 2019. The government's policy is to come out of the customs union, come out of the single market. What more would you like?
Because it's not a fully unencumbered exit. For example, we've had Mrs May talking about a security treaty, which means that we are going to be bound into the European
Union. Do you think we shouldn't cooperate
ambition.
With our international partners on security?
We already cooperate with the world. We have the Five Eyes, which you know about, which is the five main countries of the Western world who share information on this, and we share information with other countries. We already have cooperation. The EU is not about cooperation, it's about integration. That's what it's always been about. We want to leave the European Union completely. We don't want to pay them any money, we don't want to have to obey proportions of their laws, and also we need our fishing grounds back and our 200-mile exclusive economic zone.
Which they've said are not up for negotiation. But anyway, I'm sure we're going to get a call on this in a minute, but let's quickly go to Gary, who's in Weybridge. Hello, Gary.
Good evening, how are you doing?
Hello, what would you like to say?
I'm just saying, Gerald, welcome to the leadership, which is the poison chalice for the short term. but the real issue is how we get Nigel back in charge, because we have one global asset who stands on the world stage as a recognised leader, who can reinvigorate and rejuvenate the party, and we have nobody else. Sorry to say that. And I left when we put the ridiculous third-rate Polytechnic lecturer Nuttall in charge.
So you would like Nigel to come back, and you would go back to UKIP if he did?
Well, it will have a double impact. It will force the Tories to put Rees-Mogg in charge, because they're so scared. They'll be so scared of the Conservatives defecting.
Okay.
Well,
all right. Well, let's get an answer. From Roger.
Two things on that. Maybe you should have rung into the next show, because that's Nigel's show, and you can ask him if he wants to put his hat in the ring for the leadership
But do you
election.
think he should
be coming back? I think that's up to him to make that decision whether he wants to do that or not.
Oh, come on! You must have a view.
I think that probably Nigel has done as much as he can, and we need to be able to find an identity and a future post-Nigel. And I don't mean that in any way to be detrimental to what Nigel did. I have immense respect for what he actually did.
Gerard, can I just tell you, I don't think it's about defining a new for the next 20 years of UKIP. It is about refocusing the voters, the Brexit voters, in the next 3-year period, and we don't have time to develop a whole new persona.
But then you're really asking the wrong person, because you have to ask Nigel that question, because there is going to be a leadership election. People are already putting their ring in the hat. I've heard of two today who have expressed...
Who's that?
Bill Etheridge, and I believe that Suzanne Evans has expressed an interest. So people are already lining up to do it. So if Nigel wants to do it, the simplest solution is for him to actually say that. And you asked me about Rees-Mogg. I'm thinking of sending Rees-Mogg one of our special offer membership fees and see if we can get him on side with us.
No, we don't need him on side. We need him on side of the Conservative Party, because that needs to be there. They will form a government. We need to be the biting their bottoms to make sure that happens.
That's a nice idea, but somehow I do not think that Rees-Mogg will end up as leader of the Conservative Party. And he's one of the few Tories I actually have any time for.
Gary said he might come back if Nigel Farage was in charge again. You're going to offer this special offer on UKIP membership. How much is that going to cost?
I haven't worked that out yet, so I'm not going to give an exact figure, because I've got to do that with the Treasurer. I can't make a commitment then find
ballpark? Because what is it at the moment?
Well, Henry Bolton put it up, I'm afraid, to £35, which is too much for most people. It was 30. We have a special offer of £20 for veterans, so I would at least want to see that special offer reduced to £20 for a limited period, 3-month period, and see how many people we can get on.
Well, fill your boots. 0345 6060 973. More of your questions to Gerard Batten in just a moment. He's the new interim leader of UKIP. It's 6:47. Tim Humphrey has the news headlines.
Cambridge University is looking at stripping a convicted paedophile professor of his qualifications in what could be an unprecedented move. Football coach Barry Bennell's been told he's likely to die in jail after being sentenced to 30 years in prison for sexually assaulting boys in his care. And the White House says Donald Trump is backing efforts to improve background checks on gun owners. This is LBC.
Ross Powell has the LBC travel headlines.
Thanks, Ian. Starting in North London, the Finchley Road is now open on the southbound carriageway between Henley's Corner and Hurstwood Road after an accident earlier, but there are still long delays on both approaches of the North Circular Road as a result. On the A10 in Enfield, the queues are now easing on the northbound approach to Carterhatch Lane after an accident earlier on, and on the A12 at Bromley, there's still this one lane closed northbound just after the East India Dock Road because of an accident earlier. On the A12 in Essex, there's a lane blocked on the northbound carriageway just before Mount Nessing. That's because of a 3-vehicle accident. LBC Travel, I'm Ross Powell.
Coming up at 7 on LBC, Nigel Farage.
Theresa May today attacks snobbery among parents who think technical education is for other people's children. Do we need to place more value on technical courses?
Nigel Farage on LBC.
Sometimes a good investment can bring great rewards, but not every opportunity is golden. Each year, thousands of people in the UK fall victim to highly sophisticated investment scams. If you're ever given a chance to invest, always start by checking the Financial Conduct Authority's ScamSmart website. The FCA can alert you to any warning signs and give advice to keep you protected. Be a ScamSmart investor. Visit lbc.co.uk to learn more and to win an exclusive technology bundle.
No one wants to be in the red, in debt, or facing mortgage arrears. The only red should be what's in your glass, toasting a fresh new start. Thanks to Property Rescue, you can. They could buy your home for cash and pay your legal fees. You could even exchange within 48 hours and have money in the bank if you opt for their cash advance. Get that just sold feeling with Property Rescue. Fast forward to cash in the bank at propertyrescue.co.uk.
Do you have a pension? Maybe you've got more than one. How do you know if they're in the right pension funds, making as much money as possible for your retirement? Answer is, you probably don't. At the Pension Works, our fully qualified independent financial advisors could add instant value to your retirement fund. Simply text the word YES to 83222 for your free Pension Works health check. That's YES to 83222 today. Your pensions, working harder with the Pension Works.
It's Van Month this February at Renault, and to celebrate there are offers across our van range, including the Traffic Sport, complete with media nav and aircon. And with 3-ply lining on new Renault vans this February, you can drive away ready for business. That's fantastic!
Come on.
Sorry. Business users only. Ply lining offer available on vehicles registered before 31st of March 2018. Exclusions apply. Participating dealers only. For full T's and C's, visit Renault.co.uk.
Sangeeta used to dread taking meter readings. Tracking Gaz and Lecky meant going into the gloomy depths of the cupboard under the stairs. Last time she emerged with a sore nose, a bruised elbow, and a fuming temper. Fortunately, Sangeeta has just had a smart meter installed, which sends the readings directly to her energy supplier. And an in-home display shows exactly how much energy she's using, so no more trips to the cupboard. Contact your energy supplier today about getting your smart meter at no extra cost.
No matter what you want to achieve in the world of business, LBC is the place for you every Monday from 9 p.m. for the business hour.
But I am a massive believer that you can continue to hold on to an idea for years, but unless you actually get out there and start talking to people about it and do something with it, an idea is worth nothing. If somebody else executes, they bring it to market quicker than you do.
Join Clive Bull for the business hour every Monday evening from 9 with BT, helping you to be there for the moments that matter in business.
Ian Dale at Drive on LBC.
6:51. Gerard Batten is here, the new interim leader of UKIP. You can watch us on Facebook Live or on lbc.co.uk. Several people saying that you should continue to be leader. Liz in Ruislip, Mary says that as well, and Margaret in Stoke-on-Trent. Actually, Mary says the fact that Nigel voted for Bolton shows how out of touch he is. Andrew says, as much as I respect Gerard, can you please nail him down on who he will appoint as party chairman? Internal rumour is Alan Craig is trying to line himself up. A big no thank you is my response to that. Who's going to be your new chairman?
That will be known within the next 24 hours or so.
Oh,
because
go on, give us the exclusive.
I can't. If I tell you, then I haven't actually. I've got various contenders for the job that I'm talking to. They've all got different strengths and weaknesses.
Can you rule out Alan Craig?
Alan will not be the next chairman. I've already discussed that with Alan, because there are various people who are interested. It's like every job in politics, immensely difficult, and getting somebody who can fit all the bill, and whoever you choose, somebody's going to object to.
Have you got a short list of three?
I've got a few, but I'm not going to say on air. I'm sorry, Ian.
Right, Stephen is in Willesden. Hello, Stephen.
Good evening.
Hello, what would you like to ask?
Well, say congratulations, because I met Mr. Bolton at the Hustings and I was not impressed by him at all. Anne-Marie Waters, will she play a part, and do you follow her views? Because she had a brilliant video she released for Britain.
She was a previous contender, wasn't she, and lost out to Henry Broad. In fact, I think she came third, if I remember correctly. And now she's formed her own new party, presumably you're not having her back.
Well, I've known Anne-Marie for years, and I've always respected her. I share some of her views. I don't necessarily share everything that she says, obviously. But I believe that once people have left and formed a new party, then they've burnt their boats, because politics is about loyalty. And you've got to have loyalty to the party. On the other hand, a lot of people who supported Anne-Marie were insulted after that result when they were equated with Nazis. A lot of people walked out and left. I'd like to extend an olive branch to those people and say, if you are the usual moderate, non-racist type of person that belongs in UKIP, then come back.
If they were moderate and non-racist, they wouldn't be joining Anne-Marie Waters, would they?
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that statement. I think a lot of people joined her because they have views about Islam, etc. That doesn't make them racist. It doesn't make them immoderate. And if they are good people, I'd like to have them back.
Well, you've stood by your comments that Islam is a death cult. Do you not understand the difference between Islam and Islamism?
Well, have you actually looked at the original text? I mean, if I go back to 2005 when the bombings were in London, I knew very little about Islam because I simply wasn't interested. And I was the spokesman on security and defence then for Roger Natman, who was leader. And I thought, well, I need to educate myself on the ideology that justifies these actions in these people's minds. And I started to research it and look at it. And I realised that it is a religion that was originally founded on violence. It's about submission. The very title is Submission to the Will of Allah. Allah's will being interpreted entirely by Muhammad. It's been done with conquest, it's been done with invasion, intimidation and violence throughout history. And that is why I reached that conclusion. It is a cult because it's around one man, Muhammad, and it progresses.
So Christianity is a cult, then?
Yes, but there's nothing wrong with that because it's a benevolent cult. It doesn't want to kill people.
Hang on a second. If you go back through history and look at the history of Christianity, you look at the Crusades, you look at all sorts of examples from the Old Testament. I mean, all the things that you're saying about Islam, you could say about Christianity.
You can't, because you could never use the text in the Gospels to justify violence, intimidation, or oppression.
Well, you certainly could in the Old Testament.
Well, yes, but I don't follow the Old Testament. I don't know about you, but I don't. When I was told that at 7 years old, I didn't take it very literally, I have to say. And I'm not a follower of the Old Testament.
Why do you see that Muslims take it literally then?
Because not all of them do, thank goodness. But that is my point. That there are many, many moderate Muslims, and I know because I come into daily contact with them, but there's no such thing as moderate Islam. If you actually understand what the teachings are, then it can be interpreted in that. The problem is it's a ragbag of contradictory nonsense. But these people, and it's not just ISIS.
Do you understand how insulting that is to ordinary moderate Muslims who are listening to this programme now, many of whom might share your views on Europe?
Well, let me make a comparison then, may I? If I said to you that communism is a hateful ideology that has killed people, oppressed people and ruined people's lives everywhere that it's been practiced, you wouldn't say to me, oh, you can't say that because it's insulting to communists. Because there are many communists who are idealistic people who wanted to do good.
But the difference here is that you don't seem to get the difference between Islam and Islamism. Because I would agree with you, Islamism is a death cult. I would completely buy into that. But the religion itself, as practiced by 99.9% of Muslims, is not.
Yes, but the extremists, I take a literist interpretation of part of those texts, which say, kill infidels wherever you find them, strike terror into the hearts of infidels, murder infidels, behead them, etc. Now, I'm an infidel, and I don't take kindly to that.
That is not what virtually every Muslim would support. It's a small, very small, tiny number of people, and yet you're effectively saying, oh well, they're not all like that, but indicating that you think, well, maybe 20 but 30% are.
No, what I'm saying is that is what their ideology says, that is what's in their book.
That's not what their religion says.
That is a literalist interpretation of that. Is legitimate.
You can't go
it is legitimate from their point of view.
Every part of a religion, because if we did that, you would be against any religion.
But they do. Certain people do, and it's the ideology. If you sat and read the Gospels every day, you wouldn't find any justification in that for going out and blowing people up and murdering them.
Mohammed in Dagenham wants to have a word. Hello, Mohammed.
Hello, leader. Congratulations to you for getting a new role.
Thank you.
However, I must say I'm very upset for the fact that you have branded the Muslim in one brush, which is you got the whole thing completely wrong. There are over 1 billion Muslims, and what do you know about Islam? Saying that they are violent people, Muhammad preached the violence, that's wrong. That's completely wrong. I urge you to read the good book all over again and see where you find the violence. If you want to know, ask about my colleagues, ask my colleagues about myself.
Okay, all right, we're running out of time, Mohammed, quickly.
Okay. First of all, I haven't branded Muslims that way. I talk about the ideology.
That's the impression you give.
I talk about the ideology, not individuals. And if you want, you said to me to study the text. What about the text in the Hadith where Muhammad says, Judgment Day will not come until the Muslims fight the Jews. And the Jews will hide behind the rocks and the trees, and the rocks and trees will cry out, O Muslim, O faithful servant of Allah, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him.
How many mosques have you been to?
That is a quote from... I've been to one once when I went to the funeral of Alexander Litvinenko.
Well, I think I should go to a mosque with you, and I think we should both go and visit a mosque, and I think you should have that debate with Muslims in a mosque, don't you?
If they want to debate their Quran with me, and if they're not going to get very upset by the comments that I've made, because they can be quite protective. I mean, this is what I don't understand. If somebody criticises my view on politics, I don't really care, because they've got their opinion, that's fair enough, and you get a lot of abuse in politics anyway. But they are so protective and precious about this view that really should be a private matter for them. It's a religion, or it's an ideology, or it's a religion based on ideology.
Well, I've never been to a mosque, so should we go and visit one and have this debate? on site?
You organise it and I'll let you know if I think it's a good idea.
Gerard Batten, thank you very much. That's Gerard Batten, the interim UKIP leader. I will be back tomorrow from 4. Coming up at 8, it's Clive Bull. Next, it's Nigel Farage.
Thanks, Ian. Theresa May today attacked snobbery among parents who think technical education is for other people's children. She said old-fashioned attitudes were pushing some pupils to undertake degree courses when they could do better with